Hey guys, welcome back to Hillside Forge. On today's episode, I'm going to teach you guys how to make tongs without any tongs at all. So let's get to it. So to start things off, we're going to start with a 3-foot bar of 1/2-inch rebar, and that'll be pretty much all the stock we need to make a pair of tongs. With our first heat, we're going to go ahead and make a flat spot that's about 1.5 inches long. We're going to drive that down using the half on, half off technique, so we have a little bit of a ledge or a shelf forming. Then we're going to go ahead and turn this rebar into square stock, about 4 inches of it. So generally I use the face of my anvil, but you could use a measuring ruler or measuring tape or whatever. But yeah, 4 inches squared is what we're going to go with. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and drive this down a little bit more. You want it to be about 3/16 of an inch thick, because we're going to use this to actually make the jaw portion of our tong that's going to hold the material we're forging. I'm checking the jaw portion on the cutting table because we're going to use the cutting table and surface as kind of a fullering tool to help us put the fuller in. We're going to use a cross-peen hammer or a chisel. If you have one of those, it's totally fine. Either one works. We're going to lay the jaw piece on there like a ramp and then use our fullering tool to press right in the center and create kind of that U-shaped fuller that's going to be for holding stock. Now, when you do this, make sure you have it on the side of the material that the shelf is on the underside and you're looking at flat material to rebar. And then we're going to go ahead and take it over to the surface of the anvil, strike it on the edges, and kind of make that U shape a little more reformed so it can grip material a little bit better. Now we're going to go ahead and bend the jaw about 45 degrees, and then at the end of where our square marking is, we're going to bend that down to about 45 degrees. Now we're going to use our wooden mallet or our hammer very gently, and we're going to bend the 45-degree square stock into a curve using the horn of the anvil to kind of help curve the way we want the jaw to be. We're going to go ahead and refine that shape on the horn so it looks almost like an inchworm. And then I take it over to the surface of the anvil, and I begin to strike probably about 4 inches from the squared stock down to create a flat surface where we're going to drift our hole for our pin stock to go through. Go ahead and mark that hole real quick, and then we'll get another heat and punch that hole in there. It's really important when you're doing this to keep a good memory of where you're punching that hole relatively. They don't have to be in the exact same spot, but obviously the more in line they are, the better. So just keep in mind where you put the hole for when you flip it around and begin to do the other side. If you want to be really precise, you can even go ahead and measure it. Here I'm just flattening out the stock a little bit more from the pinhole back so we have good clearance when we're opening and closing our tongs. Now that one side's done, we're going to go ahead and flip it around and put the other side in the fire, and then we're going to repeat the whole process over again. Now that both sides are forged out, we'll measure the total length and then cut it right down the middle. Now that we have both halves of our tongs, we're going to go ahead and put the back ends of the reins into the fire. But I definitely recommend for this next part that you get some gloves. Oh yeah! Now we're going to flatten out the back rein of the tongs perpendicular to the jaw of the tong. So you'd be holding the curve of the jaw in your hand vertically, and you're going to be smashing out the back end of the tong so it's getting flatter. Forging the reins this way, while it is unconventional, helps with keeping the reins from sliding past each other, as well as offers a little bit more retention and squeezing capabilities. for your hand to keep the stock more secure. So for the pin, I'm using an 11/32 inch long pin. I'm going to go ahead and begin to mushroom out the sides so that way the pin has retention when I flip it over, and then mushroom both sides and then begin to work them evenly so we have a good pressure and tension holding the reins together. Then we're going to throw the jaw portion back in the fire to heat up, and in the meantime we're going to throw on some gloves because this next part is going to be spicy. So we're going to use what little heat we have in the rivet to actually help flatten it out a little bit more, make that rivet a little bit more effective. And then we're going to use the heat remaining in the jaws to line the jaws up, making sure that both of the fullers line up, that they can grip material evenly, and that everything is all precise and lined up. Now you can see that the tongs are not in the width they should be because they're spreading my hands so far apart. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is put it back in the fire, and then when I pull it out, I'm going to quench the very tip of the jaw so it cools off and does not flex. And then I'm going to take the pressure from my hands and just squeeze them together like this and make sure that those reins come together so that way when we're gripping stock, it's nice and comfortable and it's not trying to rip our hand apart. So now we're going to do our fine tuning, make sure everything's good to go. Go ahead and paint it black, and let's try these out. Alright guys, well, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. I look forward to hearing from you guys. And I hope this helped you, that now you can get out in your shop, make yourself a pair of tongs, and start making cool stuff. Have a great day, guys.